Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vance. In today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make this beautiful bubu gown with a tassel, a velvet bias, an elastic at the sleeve part of our bubu dress. So if you're interested to learn how to make this bubu gown, let's get right into the tutorial. So guys, for this tutorial, I'll be making use of these 3 yards of Mikado silk fabric. I'll be making use of velvet, a tassel, my ruler, my scissors, and then my tape. So guys, I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 4 and then we'll get right into the tutorial. So guys, this is me folding my fabric into 4 just like this. So this is it. After I was done folding, the next thing I'm going to do is to roll out my starting line. So this is me rolling out my starting line. After rolling out my starting line, the next thing I'm going to do, guys, is to go ahead and take my neck width. So for my neck width, I'll be making use of 4 inches. For my neck depth for the back, 1.5. My neck depth for the front, I'll be making use of 7 inches. So I went ahead to mark it down there, and I'll use my French curve to give it a curve at the back, and then for the front, I'll be giving it a V neckline. So this was it when I was done doing it. So to get my across back, I used 24 inches for my across back initially. Then I realized that there's an elastic at the sleeve, so I went ahead to make it 26 inches. So I'm no more using that line. So I came down from that starting line by 1 inch. I'll go ahead and then connect it to my neck width, just the way you see me doing, guys. So when I'm done connecting, guys, I'll go ahead and take my sleeve length. That's where the sleeve is going to stop. I use 14 inches because of the elastic. After which, for the half length, I went ahead to use 17 inches for my client's half length, her hip line, her knee line. I marked it, and then the full length of her gown. Actually, she wanted it to be a 3/4. It's not a full dress. It's not getting to the floor length, just like what was on the thumbnail, but her own is going to stop on her below her knee. So I went ahead to use my ruler to straighten the lines so that it will be more visible. So after I'm done tracing out the line, the next thing I'm going to do, guys, is to go ahead and divide my client's hip measurement by 4. I marked what I got there, and I added my allowance of 4.5 inches. You can go more than 4.5 inches, but according to what she wanted, she didn't want it to be too big like the one in the picture. So I went ahead to use 4.5 inches. So I did the same thing at the full length, my hip divided by 4 plus 4.5 inches. I then went ahead to use my ruler to connect the points together, just the way you see me doing. So after I'm done connecting it, guys, I'll go ahead and connect it to my sleeve line. So this was me connecting it with a curve. So you're going to curve it out like this so that it will not be sharp at that point and it will not start folding. So this was me kind of reconnecting it to give it a good curve so that when I sew it down, it's not going to fold. So when I'm done with this, guys, I'll go ahead and cut out my fabric. So I went ahead to cut out my sleeve part and then my neck width. So when I'm done cutting out, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to separate my front neck width and my back. So they'll be joining in front, so I left an allowance purposely while I was folding, like 1/2 inch. As you can see where I'm touching, I left allowance there at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and separate my back block from my front block. So this was it when I separated it, and then I'll go ahead and cut out my front neck depth. So after I was done cutting out the front neck depth, I'll go ahead and slit the front, that's the center front, open just the way you see me doing. So I'll go ahead and open it up so that you see how it looks like. So this was when I opened it up like this, so that I can start designing the right side of our gown. So I went ahead to introduce my velvet bias. So this was it. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to place it on the fabric to just know how it's going to look like first. So for the placement, I'm going to use the gap of 9 inches. So I'll be marking 9 inches, and that 9 inches is where I'm going to place my bias. So I'll be marking 9 inches into 4 places, just as it is in the style. So when I'm done marking it, I'll go ahead and start placing my bias to see how it's going to look like. So watch carefully what I'm doing at this point. So this was me trying to create something that will look like the style. So when I was done, I went ahead to cut out the excess velvet that was remaining at that point, and then I went ahead to do the same thing here. I also cut it out so that I can use it for other spaces on the fabric rather. So guys, I also went ahead at this point again to cut out the excess fabric, the excess bias rather. So I placed it at this last point. That's the first point. As you can see, it's already looking like our style on the thumbnail. So at this point, guys, you can actually create any style that you want. So at this point, I was actually trying to rearrange and arrange a lot of things. So when I was done arranging and I saw that I was satisfied with how it was, what I did was, so at this point I was satisfied with how the style is and the placement. So I went ahead to introduce my hemming gum. So I'm going to place my hemming gum under the bias, just the way you see me doing, and then I'll go ahead and iron it out. I'll do the same thing for all the lines. But before I go ahead to do that, I'm going to remove all my biases, and then I will rule a line on them, so that I will not forget where I actually placed the bias. I don't know if you get, but just watch me how I'm going to go ahead to roll out my lines. So this was the line. I've already ruled out my line so that I can, this is where the bias was placed before, so I had to rule the line out, and then I went ahead to bring in my hemming gum, and then I placed it on the line. I cut out the excess, and then I'll go ahead and take my velvet bias. I will place it on the hemming gum. So this is it when I picked up my velvet bias, and then I went ahead to place it on the hemming gum just like this. So guys, after I was done, I'll sprinkle some water, I'll place my fabric on it, and then I'll go ahead and give it a good press. Please, you have to be careful at this point so that your velvet bias is not going to squeeze. So you have to be very careful. So guys, this was when I was done placing all of it. I'll go ahead and sew it down. So guys, at this point, if you found value in my video, please do well to subscribe, like my video, comment if you have any question that you need to ask me. So this was it when I was done with the ironing. As you can see, it's looking all neat, guys. So when I was done with that part, I'll go ahead and sew it down. Make sure you sew it down. If you leave it like this, it's going to pull, maybe when you wash it or something. So this was when I was done sewing it down. The next thing I'm going to do is to come in with my bias to hem the neckline. That's my neckline. So I'll go ahead and hem it. I'll also do the same thing for the other part of our dress. For the front part too, I'll use my bias to hem it. You can actually use facing, but I think for this kind of style, using a bias is more preferable. So this is my back block. I'll also use the bias too and hem it, and then I'll go ahead and show you how it looks like when I'm done. So this was when I was done, guys. As you can see, I was done with the front. As you can see, I've also gone ahead to iron it out. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and then join my front block to each other. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead to place my tassel on it. So this is my back block. So this is me showing you that I was done with the bias and everything. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to bring in my tassel. So this is the front part. So I'm going to place this tassel on the velvet bias, just the way you see me doing. I'll place it like this, and then I'll go ahead and bring in the other part of our front block and place it on it, just like this. So I'll go ahead and place it like this, and then I will go ahead and sew it down by 1/2 inch. When I'm done sewing, guys, I'll show you how it looks like. So this was when I was done sewing it, guys. As you can see, the style is already coming out and our dress is already giving. So I will go ahead and place my back block on the front block, and I will pin down the shoulder points so that I will go ahead and sew it down by 1/2 inch. So this was me pinning down the shoulder point so that it's going to be equal. When I'm done pinning down, I'll go to my sewing machine and then I'll sew it in by 1/2 inch at the shoulder. When I'm done sewing the shoulder part, guys, I will go ahead and hem the armhole, like my sleeve part where the elastic is going to sit. So this was when I was done joining the shoulder to shoulder, and I've also gone ahead to make the elastic casing at the sleeve part of our dress. So I'll go ahead and introduce my elastic. So this is my elastic. For the length of the elastic, I'll be making use of 11.5. So I'll go ahead and cut my fabric. The total of it will be 23. So guys, I'll go ahead and cut out the 23 inches, and then I'll divide the 23 inches into 2, giving me 11.5. So this was me dividing my elastic into 2 like this. I'll go ahead and use my safety pin to hold the elastic together, and then I will now pass it through my sleeve, just the way you see me doing. So this was it when I was passing it through my sleeve, guys. So when I'm done with this part, I'll also do the same thing for this part. Please, guys, do well to subscribe to my channel, like my video, leave a comment if there's any question you want to ask me, or if there's any tutorial you want me to do. So this was it when I was done, guys. Our clothes is ready, like very ready. I've gone ahead to shape. I've joined the elastic band, as you can see, on both sides. Then I'm going to go ahead and wear my mannequin, and then I'll show you how beautiful this dress is. So this was it when I wore it on my mannequin. It's really beautiful. Thank you guys so much. Like, this dress is giving all it should give. And I'm so happy that my client loved it. Thank you guys for watching my video to the end. I'm going to see you in my next tutorial. Bye, guys.